All right, welcome into another edition of Catching Up with Tommy Mack here on 1010XL's podcast platform, 1010XL.com. Of course, the 1010XL app. We catch this show and many others right out of the 1010XL podcast studios. You can also check out the live streaming of the all-day 24/7 radio as well over at the app and online as well. But great to be here. Brought to you by Team Tommy Mack, just a group of local and regional businesses that do it right, man. And that's why they're on the team. And when I go through the list a little bit later, you need these services. They're there for you, man. That's what's great about them. And eventually you will need these kinds of services. Lots to get into today, of course. The draft is over. Free agency is here. Player tryouts among us in the very near future. Going to talk a lot of Jags, talk NFL, talk through what's going on, news and notes, this and that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We're not the mafia, at least we don't think we are, but we'll get into just about everything when it comes to the National Football League. Let's welcome in Grammage, my producer. What's up, Grammage?
Good morning, sir. Happy Tuesday.
I'm happy Tuesday. How you feeling this Tuesday, man? How you feeling?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Little tired. I worked all weekend, so a little tired, but
yeah, I didn't really mean personally. I meant more like, you know.
How I feel about the draft.
Yeah, just everything in general, you know.
I was asked by some of my buddies what I would grade it.
Okay.
And I said B-.
Okay.
C+.
We're going to go through it. We're going to go through it. I mean, I think that's somewhat fair. Look, look. It's really about upside. Will these guys eventually turn out to be ball players that are productive for my football team? You know, look at last year's draft, right? With Strange and then Bigsby. It's incomplete. We don't know. But why'd they draft him? They drafted him on upside. I mean, when Brenton Strange was drafted out of Penn State, most of my Penn State friends, barely saw him on offense. Like, he barely, he got some play, but it wasn't like he was a featured point. Same with Parker Washington, by the way. I was like, what do you think of Parker Washington? Like, well, we kind of saw him. He wasn't like a huge force for Penn State. But forget 6th round, but 2nd round, 3rd round. They're drafted on, what you did in college, but also what they think you're going to be come when you maybe not the first year, but eventually 2nd, 3rd. Within that rookie contract, you become a really productive player for a team. So a lot of it is not a crapshoot. They're doing their homework. I know we all want names, because there are a lot of names in that 2nd round that went. Supposedly they tried to move up. It's funny. Well, they tried. I don't care. You picked who you picked. I could care less. How many other teams tried? What do we give them a sticker, a little medal for? Well, at least you tried. Great, you tried and it didn't happen. You stuck at your pick, and there we have it. I know a lot of names were named in that 2nd round before Mason Smith, but. That's all upside right there. That's all upside. And if that young man turns out to be a ball player, it's a great pick. We don't know. Coming off the ACL, inconsistent play. Freshman year was great. This whole, this is funny because, and I want to get the name right. Assistant GM Ethan Waugh was quoted saying, bigger, faster, smarter. That's what we're looking for. Trent Baalke makes a comment about how you look coming off the bus. Nobody gives a shit how you look coming off the bus when you're not winning. You don't scare anybody. You're not intimidating anybody. They got guys just as big as you. What are you talking about? I don't know where that comes from. That now, if you're a dominating unit, defense, offense, whatever, D-line, when you walk off the bus and you're big and you look pretty damn good, then you're like, oh, man, these guys not only are good, but they're big. You know what I mean? Look, there is some truth to it, but I think it gets overblown. But I said this before. When BC played Florida State this last year, the former coach, Jeff Hafley, told me, he's like, I told my assistants, don't go out there and watch warm-up. Don't even look at them because they look like an NFL team. You're going to think we're playing an NFL team. I don't want the players out there. I don't want, till we have to, I don't want you going out there early and checking them out. And they didn't. So there's some truth to that. But Florida State, at that time, going against BC, they're obviously a much better football team. Then they look like the way they do, like, oh, Schneikes, we're in big trouble. But nonetheless, that's what they were looking for. I don't know. Size. Okay, does size matter? It does. But you can also have size and not do that much with it. You can also be a little bit smaller and do more with it. I don't know. Can they play ball is the question. You know, I read where Jordan Jefferson can squat 700 pounds. Awesome. That's great. Yeah, I mean, can he split a double team? Can he take out a double team? Can he take pressure off the outside guys so they can get a rush? I don't know. Hopefully, and maybe. I will say this. I know a lot of people talk about LSU, you know, grabbing LSU players. For the longest time, I've always felt like at least LSU has athletes because they always seem to have tremendous athletes on their team. But remember, Chason was a tremendous athlete. We all raved about him coming on. You know, wait till we get him. Wait, you know, you just never know until you get them in and see if they're going to be productive. I mean, we went through Grammage. We graded all of Trent Baalke's drafts, the 3 of them prior to this one, right? And free agency. Some were good, some weren't very good. Last year was not good at all. We gave it a D-, I think, or a D+. Anton, number 1, of course. Antonio Johnson, if he turns out great. But then the others, who knows, you know? And now with Parker, who knows, with the additions of Duvernay. And they drafted the kid, running back out of Texas. He's supposed to be a freaking burner. Keelan Robinson is his name.
Out of the 3 of those, one of them won't make the roster, right?
No, right. There's
no way you're going to have 3 dudes that do basically the same exact thing on the team.
No.
And Duvernay, I would think is a lock to make the team. So,
oh yeah, without a doubt.
It's
without
really
a doubt.
The other, like this Keelan Robinson is going to push Washington for a roster spot.
He is, because you got to wonder, you know, did he do enough? Did Parker? Now, granted, it's rookie year, but did he do enough when Kirk was out to show that he could take the place of Kirk? Because that's why you draft him. Eventually, you're going to replace Captain Kirk. You know, I don't know when that is. Hopefully, not for a very long time, because he's great when healthy. And hopefully he remains healthy the entire year, because we definitely need him. But did he do enough to show that, you know what, hey, Kirk's not in there, he can do it?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Now, he made some plays. I'm not saying he didn't, Parker. He made a couple returns.
He's a good player,
yeah, but not. I don't know. So that's why they grabbed Duvernay. I mean, why'd they grab Duvernay if they didn't think Parker could get it done? Is that fair in saying that? Nothing happens without reason. They just go, Duvernay, he's fast. Let's take him. Boom. No, it's, do we need him? Yeah, we need him, because you know what? Maybe Parker's not the guy that we thought he was going to be.
And they also, in my opinion, had to have thought that Duvernay was a better wide receiver option than Jamal Agnew was.
Agreed. Totally agree with that. Yeah.
So,
and look, they got a ton of cap left. I wonder if they're going to do anything. It'll be interesting to see. June 1 cuts going into camp. I don't know if they're done yet. I mean, look, we all know there's a window to chase that championship, and they're in the middle of it. I don't know how open it is yet. You know what I mean? But it's open. It's more than a crack, too.
Hayes Carline made a good point that I hadn't thought of yesterday on their show, on the Frangie show, that he thought that there would be a good chance of the draft capital that they accumulated from the Vikings in that trade back in the first round, the 3rd and 4th pick they got.
Yep.
He thought they would use that for some type of vet in some sort of trade before the deadline, but whether that's in the training camp, whether that's before the deadline during the season. He thought that could be a real weapon for them to use this, which I hadn't thought about, but that's a good point. That you really could, honestly.
Well, look, you got to imagine they tried to trade up in the 2nd round as well. I mean, there are a lot of ball players. You're like, oh, man, there goes another one. There goes another one.
I know.
Oh, now, Grant, what does that mean? Just because their names in college doesn't always mean it transfers over. And look, these are educated guesses, right? You take Mason Smith, right? Coming off an ACL. Before the ACL, disruptive as all get out. Big-time freshman ball player, right? Has the ACL. Takes last year, not as good, right? He's probably favoring the leg, probably thinking about the leg. As a guy that had an ACL, for the record, that first year back, it's weird. I got mine back like midway through the 1998 season. I ruptured it in 97. ACL, the ACL meniscus, all the rehab, came back in 98, made the team, felt weird, I swear. Like I didn't feel like my legs were underneath me, and I kept thinking about it. Felt like my right leg was dragging a little, but then all of a sudden it stopped, and you stopped thinking about the injury. So there is some truth to that. And what they're banking on here is that Mason Smith's going to turn out to be even better than what he was his freshman year at LSU, right? He's healthy. The knee feels good. He's, got something to prove. He wants to. I mean, I'll tell you this. If it works out and he becomes a ball player, that's a hell of a D-line right there.
It's one of the best in the league.
I mean, it could be one of the best. I'll tell you, you want to talk about walking off the bus. That'd be a nice look. No doubt about it.
Armstead, Allen, Walker, and Smith. If Smith is good.
Yeah. And Smith's good, right. Throw to Jordan Jefferson. He's no little dude. Can he play 4th-round picks? You're expected to contribute now. You're hoping he can do so. Get in the rotation. I also got to wonder, you got to wonder, Grammage, with this new kickoff rule, do you keep more big guys and small, you know what I mean? Let fast DBs for special teams? Because what is it? You got to get off the block. It's kickoff. You got to avoid the first. Once they grab you, you're done. So you got to avoid the first, in the old kickoff rule. The first line, you run around them. You just got to get back into your lane. And then the next row, you got to hit. Maybe you maneuver a little bit, but you're basically going to, physically hit something on that
There's
second.
There's a car crash coming.
Yeah, the second one. But now they're closer, they're going to hit, and it's going to be this kind of stuff. Yeah. Are they going to call a lot of holding? Are they not? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Do they need more linebackers and DNs and backup DTs as opposed to nickel, DB, safety? Those types of players? It's going to be interesting when it's all said and done, how they figure that out.
And it's interesting as a returner, too, because you would think, because you're not going to have the kind of the depth of the return that you used to.
Yep.
Where there's multiple lines of blockers.
Correct.
It's just one line.
Right.
So
with 2 returners.
Right. So if I'm a return man, dude, if you get past that initial wave, you're scoring, basically, right? Now it's much harder to get past that one wave because everyone's there, but it's just, I feel like it's different as a returner historically has been, like, if I return for a touchdown, 20, 30 yards, I probably got to make some kind of move, make somebody miss, whatever. Another 10 yards, got to get somewhere else, make somebody else. Then it's not until I'm at about like the 50-yard line that I know I'm scoring.
Yeah.
Versus now, I'm going to know I'm scoring by the 25.
You may be, right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And there's no wall.
Yeah.
There won't be a wall, will there, on the return? I guess you could. I mean, you're going to, the way you block it, I'm going to block it this way, and they're going to run behind me.
Do you mean wall by like it's return left or something like that?
Yeah, the wall. Yeah. Not the wedge bus. I'm not talking about the wedge bus. I'm talking about the wall you set, like a punt return.
Yeah.
You set up a wall.
Yeah.
Is it going to be similar to that? I don't know if you're going to be able to do that, I
also wonder if teams are going to get more creative with because they're going to have 2 returners.
Yeah.
With reverses
and passes reversed. Yeah. It's going to be interesting. Now they kick off from the same spot though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was going to say that'd be weird for the kicker to have to pooch it.
I think this is back.
Or maybe you should make him pooch it.
Yeah. I think it's kind of back to the original point you're making. Like the return team, what type of body do you want as a blocker there? Because historically, you haven't really wanted like a lineman,
right?
Because they got to cover too much ground; they're not fast enough. But here, you don't need. Could I do some backup offensive linemen or something?
Yeah. You might even build that line like a rugby line,
right?
The big guys in the middle, and then you disperse the. They get a little smaller and faster as they get outside.
So I'll have obviously my returners are going to be fast guys,
right?
My 9 guys in front of them.
Right.
Do I just want as much beef as possible?
Possibly.
Just big old boys that can run blocking offensive linemen. I mean, you're not going to play your starters probably, but your backup guards.
The answer is I would think
so.
And then once that guy breaks, there's going to be defenders that make that get around that blocker, shoot the gap, and then next thing you know, you're all discombobulated.
Because I don't need my blockers to cover a lot of ground anymore.
No, not at all.
They don't have to go very far at all.
No.
Versus in the past, they've had you've had to cover some ground. So a big old lineman was not going to work. Is
the touchback still at the 30, 25, 30?
25.
25.
Sure. Yeah.
25, that's right.
If I remember correctly, historically, it was always the 20. And in an effort to incentivize touchbacks, they made it the 25, I believe. Okay.
So do you still want more touchbacks is the question? Even though they got this new rule going on, this new way to play kickoff and kickoff return, Are you still just trying to kick it out of the end zone to avoid the whole thing?
Well, they moved it back 5 yards where the kicker kicks, right?
Okay.
I think that's what
I don't know. Did they?
Yeah, I think they did that in turn for we're making these guys close.
Right.
So with the idea that there will be
you're
more
not going to kick it out.
Yeah, like you still can, but it's harder to do.
Right.
Like the kickers with really big legs probably still can, no problem. But if you're not a kicker with a huge leg, then especially, you see this a lot with teams, or you used to see it, I should say, before they moved it up. Early in the game, typically, even the kickers without huge legs, they're still kicking out of the end zone.
Right.
It's later in the game. They probably kick a couple field goals.
Yeah, they get a little too fatigued.
Legs a little fatigued. Then you might have the kick only makes it to the 5-yard line.
Yeah.
And, Jamal Agnew used to always do this. He'd kind of start back 3 or 4 yards behind where the ball's going to land and get a running start and go.
Yep. Yeah, it's going to be fun. We'll talk about the kicker taken in the 6th round when we go through the 2024 Jaguars draft class. We'll do that in just a little bit. Looks like they're making moves on the broadcasting side at CBS. Boomer and Phil are out. Matt Ryan and J.J. Watt take over, going with the youth movement at CBS. I normally watch Countdown first, right? And then when the Jags are on CBS or whatever, then I'll switch to that network's programming. But normally I watch Countdown on ESPN all the way to the end. So I don't know if I really want, but I do like. I like Nate a lot. I like Nate Cower.
Burleson.
Yep, and I like JB. And I liked Phil and Boomer. They always seem to have a little thing going on, like who was the right, you know what I mean? They always seemed like that. Not that they would go at it all the time, but it just felt like that. Maybe that was part of it. Boomer's still staying on radio, they said. He's a good guy. I've met Boomer before. They're good people. So, hey, it's time to pass the torch, I guess. We'll see if Matt Ryan and J.J. Watt can pull it off. It looks like J.J.'s got the chops. Saw him a little bit last year. Seems to be, you're talking ball. Shouldn't be that challenging, I wouldn't think. But Matt Ryan, he gets his shot right there on CBS NFL Today.
I have a pet peeve with fans. It is so, fans just love to hate announcers.
Yeah.
And, for the most part, at least how bad people make them out to be, they're just not that bad, man. But what happens is, especially if it's your team and something bad happens with your team and they're criticized, it makes you mad. So you take it out on that.
No, right.
On that person because it's annoying. Now, there's stuff I don't like. I'm not saying they're all amazing. Right. I'm just saying, when people act like these dudes are just the worst, it's they're not.
Yeah.
Well, watch a game with ambient sound. It's weird.
No, right. No, I don't know. I don't know. I'm a little different. I don't really tune in for the announcers. I mean,
no, I don't either. I'm just saying,
I watch the game. I don't even need the announcers, to be honest with you.
But how often do you find yourself being like, oh, these guys are so annoying?
Never.
Right.
I don't personally. I don't ever be I know a lot of people do, though.
I don't get I'm not it's Collinsworth tonight. Let's go. I don't really think that.
Yeah.
But
he's fine.
Just in terms of people just act like these guys are just god awful to listen to, and sometimes it is, but it's rare.
No, listen, really people today, especially on social media, they think they can do everything better than whoever's doing it, whether it's a GM or TV or radio, whatever. I can do that.
And
better,
it's
blah, blah, blah.
It's just like the draft on Twitter. If you just look through Twitter for opinions, it makes you think that everything ever either absolutely sucks or is amazing.
Right.
No one tweets and is just it's okay.
I tell you what, I don't know. You can be. That's the one thing about Twitter. You can be anything you want to be, even if it's fake. I don't know, but good for you. But looks like they are out. Travis Kelce gets a nice new deal, not an extension. They ripped up the old one, gave him a new one, $34.25 million, 2-year deal, $17 million fully guaranteed, and they expect the rest to be fully guaranteed in about the few days of 2025. I mean, how do you not? Travis Kelce, one of the best in the world at his position, and when all said and done, maybe the best of all time at that position. He's pretty close right now. Yes, my man. What's up?
We have breaking news.
Oh, breaking news.
Breaking news.
Wait, let's guess. Do it to Jags?
Yes.
A trade?
No.
A signing?
No.
Wait, I know about the tryout. I was going to talk about that.
No.
Not something brand new. It's not with Jarvis.
No.
Okay. Give it to me.
Zay Jones released.
Wow. Really? Wow. Thanks, Grammage, for that. Zay Jones released from the Jaguars. Just coming off the wire.
Yep.
What a damn without the injuries, he doesn't get released. That's what sucks about this game. It's so tough. It's so tough, He's a good player. I mean, come on. When they first signed Zay Jones, we were like, who? Who's Zay Jones? And then when he came here, I like Zay Jones a lot. And I'll tell you what, I bought into it too. I'm not this year. The hype this year is going to be so nauseating, I swear, from our local media. It's going to drive me insane, but I'm going to try to keep my cool and all of that. But he looked great this year prior to the injury.
Yeah.
He did, man. He came in shape. He was big, fast. I remember talking to Dempsey and some other guy, he could be a number one. I mean, he looked that good. Now, granted, it's camp, and you got to keep that in perspective. But, that's where, it's a what have you done for me lately type league. My dad used to say, I got to rest this all the time. He's like, Tommy, it's what have you done for me lately? And he wasn't just talking about football. It's everything. It's relationships, your profession, how you treat people, everything, your performance. So great. You played great 2 weeks ago, but what did you play? Well, before my injury, I was great. Well, okay, but then you had the injury. And then you weren't. And granted, maybe he shouldn't even have been out there. I mean, that knee brace was so damn clunky and clanky. I mean, God love him for trying. That's an animal. That's a pro that says I'm going to do all I can to be out there for my team. But it hindered his performance. There's no doubt. And look, I know we've got new guys, so it's time to move on, and that's great. I wish Zay well. I thought he was a great Jaguar. He was a tough blocker, physical guy. Players liked him. But that's the nature of the business right there, man. It sure is.
I just think back to that Ravens game in 2022.
Yeah.
Dude, they had no answer for Zay Jones.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't. He was good.
Also, part
injuries suck, man. They just suck.
Part of this as well, not quite as big as Zay Jones, but Joey Sly also released. The kicker that they just signed.
Oh, the kicker they just signed, right.
I believe, it's Cam Little, right? The kicker they got from Arkansas.
Cam Little, yeah, from Arkansas.
He's going to be their kicker, I would imagine. Riley Patterson's here for competition, but...
Yeah. But if they moved it 5 yards back, then they don't want him because remember that was his hole. No, that was Matthew Wright. I'm sorry, it was Matthew Wright. Couldn't kick it far enough.
It was the touchback.
Yeah, it was 21-24 though, and 54 yards was his longest, so it wasn't too bad compared to the guy you brought in, my namesake, for crying out loud. And he's no longer here. So then you go and draft, and we'll get into the draft in just a minute. But yeah, Kelsey gets paid. He should. He's such a beast, man. He's such a beast. They were saying, I read this morning that they started their off-season workouts, and he's like first in line of his group. He's still at his old, he could be like, I'm chilling in the back. He's up front, man. He's working his tail off.
They are like, I know it's
They want a three-peat, dude. They're going for the three-peat.
And they've been outspoken about it.
Absolutely.
Dude, they won the Super Bowl, and they celebrated for about 5 minutes, and they were like three-peat.
Yeah.
It was like, Jesus,
I wonder if they may be able to do it. I mean, with that QB and that coach and that tight end and that Chris Jones and that defense, maybe, you never know. That'd be great. First time ever.
Dude, and
that's a dynasty now.
And they got Xavier Worthy in the draft.
I know.
And
traded with the Bills.
Yeah.
Surprised the Bills, I
know.
Wouldn't they have an idea? Now, they get Keon Coleman at the top of the second round. That's going to be fun to watch.
I would have rather had Worthy, though.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you need a more, I don't know. The speed, yeah, but
I'm just telling you, man. And look, I
don't know.
I will hand up.
I can't say I watched him enough to say he's that good of a player, but I don't know if he's like a supplement to a number one. You know what I mean? Like he's my speed guy, but he's got to show me a lot more that he can be that number one X.
I will say,
and Keon's not that either. I'm not saying he is, for the record.
I will say, hand up. Because I'm such a fan of college football and I watch so much college football and I'm such a big Saturday guy.
Yeah.
I tend to be biased towards high production guys versus the high ceiling guys.
Yeah.
Just because I'm sitting here watching on Saturdays, I'm like, dude, this guy's gonna be a beast in the league, man. And when I see a guy produce so much on Saturday versus another guy that maybe is getting more draft hype that I don't see do as much, and it's hard for me to. So I get it, but it's hard for me. But Worthy,
Yeah.
Dude, unguardable in game. He was unbelievable in so many games for them.
Well, and then, he's, a 4.21, man. Nobody's catching that for the most part. But
you talk about track speed, that's track speed.
It is. It's just, the transition, because college is college, and college is great. Love college ball, but you can see guys dominate in college, and then they get neutralized. They get equalized, I should say, in the National Football League.
100%.
It's just they're whatever it is. Great, they're fast, but are they good at setting up that DB? Is the safety really that worried if I got a head start? Can he get off a jam? I don't know. Maybe he can. Maybe he can't. Maybe he gets stoned at the line of scrimmage and can't get off the ball. Because these guys are pros. It's a different game. Especially with, you got to think, now, not all rookies, but, think about, a rookie wide receiver going into camp and having to go one-on-one against, I don't know, Zaire Alexander or some top, Jalen Ramsey, top cover shutdown type corner.
Brian Thomas going against Tyson Campbell.
Yeah. You got better shut his ass down. We'll see. We'll get into Jags in just a little bit, but interesting with Kelsey. Good for you know what I like about Kelsey? He's handling the whole Taylor Swift thing really good, in my opinion. And I felt that way about them last year. Remember I said it. I was like, for a team that they're handling it very well. She's worldwide, everywhere. Yeah. And you're handling it very well. She's just another friend or whatever, which is good. Good for them. We'll see if they can three-peat. Hopefully our Jags can derail that. Zeke Elliott back to the Cowboys on a 1-year deal. Okay. Supposedly he's courted by others. He needs to lose some weight. He's too thick. He's too thick, man. You gotta lighten that load up a little bit and get some wiggle in there. Get some wiggle, Zeke. Look, going back to the Cowboys, good for him. Obviously they lose Tony Pollard. I don't know who they grabbed other than that, but I know Tony Pollard's up in Minnesota. And, they go grab Zeke for a year. I don't know. I don't know if that really did it ring the bell in the NFL or then it was okay, great.
No, it doesn't.
I don't think so. Kyle Pitts gets his 5th-year option picked up. He's been there for, they got to get him the ball. He was supposed to be Mr. Talk about a generational talent at tight end / receiver. He was in college. That's a great example. Now, granted, the quarterback situation has been messed up, but great example of what you thought was going to happen in the NFL and what has happened. Career not over, story not written. But up until this point, Kyle Pitts is okay. What is he? Maybe Kirk Cousins could change it. Maybe so.
Outside of
or Penix, whoever ends up starting.
Outside of Tim Tebow and Percy Harvin.
Yeah,
Kyle Pitts is probably the best offensive player I've ever seen to get a uniform.
Yeah.
Dude, he was insane.
What's his problem? Has he been hurt?
No, it's
good quarterbacks. They don't go to him.
The quarterback thing, and then also who was their coach that just got fired? He was their coach for Raheem Morris. He's been there. Arthur Smith.
Yeah, the FedEx guy.
The Arthur Smith is he just didn't get the ball to his best players.
Yeah.
There was a whole stretch last year where Drake London and Kyle Pitts were just never getting the ball.
Yeah.
But Jonnu Smith was getting a bunch of catches.
Yeah, right.
Right. Why are you not using your best players, man? It was a whole weird thing.
Again, that you just never know what's going on inside the building and inside practice and
I think Desmond Ritter was just not it.
No.
So.
Maybe not. We'll see if that changes for Kyle Pitts. 5th-year option picked up. Pats extend Christian Barmore, $41.8 million in guaranteed money for the defensive tackle. I love what his agent said, Nicole Lynn, who's kicking ass. She's got, I don't know, I follow her on Twitter just because she's got so many guys now, so many first round.
Jalen Hurts, too.
She does, yeah. She's fantastic. But she was saying they were in the green room for round 1, didn't get called. Tough night. But now look at him. Just got a huge extension from the New England Patriots. So good for him. All right, we'll take a look at our Jacksonville Jaguars. Brought to you by Team Tommy Mack. You see me wearing J-Dog shirt. It's J-Dog. junk removal and hauling. 844-GET-JDOG. Hauling means what? Construction debris. That's right. Roofers, contractors. Give them a call. 844-GET-JDOG. And they do it with integrity, trust, veteran owned and operated. I'm always honored to wear one of their shirts. Chris Lucero's Bail Bonds, #1 name in the bail game. Graffiti Burger Bar, host of the 904 Pro Show on Thursday nights. Not this Thursday. We're kicking it off again next Thursday night with a special guest. I'll announce that maybe later in the week. But that'll be at Graffiti Burger Bar in Jacksonville Beach. Man, we had wings after the show last Thursday. Absolutely incredible. They were the sweet chili. They were fantastic. All new menu items, all new ownership and management. Carpet Man Flooring, more than just LVP. It's all types of flooring at the highest quality at the lowest prices. Azar Sausage Co., homegrown and down home, third generation, owned and operated right here. And guess what? It's simply awesome sausage. So get it at Winn-Dixie and all your local grocery stores. Michael Nickus' State Farm Agency, my agent for 20 years, should be your agent as well. We're talking home, life, auto, and supplemental health. Code Ninjas, make sure you get your kids into a kick-ass camp where they learn how to code, they learn how to build video games, go outside, get some exercise. Go to codeninjas.com. Solomon Ventures, corner of Art Museum Drive and Atlantic Boulevard. Home goods at the lowest prices all over the place. I'm talking food, clothes, outdoor furniture, indoor furniture, bikes, everything you can imagine under the sun at Solomon Ventures. Of course, Coconut Joe's, brought to you by Family Tradition Specialty Foods. They're new to the program, but their hot sauce. I'm not a big hot sauce guy, but let me tell you something. Their sriracha is absolutely phenomenal. Go to Family Traditions Specialty Foods.com. Jalaram Hotels with 13 hotels to choose from up here in Jacksonville and down in St. Augustine. I'm telling you right now, never been to St. Aug? Go to St. Augustine and look up jalaramhotels.com. JALARAM hotels.com, and you'll see all their great options right in the heart of it all in St. Augustine and up here at the town center and on I-95 if you're traveling. Make sure you check them out online. Salt Air Inn and Suites, 4 blocks from the beach up in Atlantic Beach, a boutique hotel with concierge service. I send many a friend over to Kurt and his staff. They do it right, and they'll get just about anything for you. They also own beachside rentals, so keep that in mind. Bikes, paddle boards, surfboards, you name it. They have it all for you. Want to thank Adaptive Jacks, my marketing and branding partner. Check them out, adaptivejacks.com, and the 1010 XL Studios and family. Love being here, no doubt about it. All right, let's go through the 2024 Jaguar NFL Draft picks. Hey, Dale, yeah, Jay Smooth on the show. Hey, Jimmy. How you doing, my friend? I miss you, bud. Next time you're in town, you got to be on again. Jimmy's been on. He'll be on again, no doubt about it. All right, we're going to go through it. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 picks this year. Brian Thomas led us off, wide receiver out of LSU. Mason Smith, DT, LSU. Jarian Jones, cornerback out of Florida State. I like the report on him. We'll get into that. Javon Foster, offensive tackle out of Mizzou. Jordan Jefferson, another big DT out of LSU. DeAndre Prince, cornerback out of Ole Miss. Keelan Robinson, running back out of Texas. Cam Little, we talked about, the kicker out of Arkansas. And Miles Cole, the edge out of Texas Tech. You can also add, no, he's not a draft pick, but Jarvis Landry getting a tryout this weekend. Of course, the stud wide receiver, 31 years of age, says he's healthy and ready to go. Maybe that caused some of the Zay Jones release. Possibly. That's a little speculation. But if you haven't heard, Zay Jones has been released from our Jags. And, hey, we wish him well, man. Somebody's going to pick him up. He'll be picked up today, I bet, if not by tomorrow. And he'll be able to extend his career. So good stuff for him. But Jarvis Landry, hey, you always take a flyer on that. Doesn't cost you anything. Of course you do. Let him come in and let's see what he can do. What if? And for him, he's like, yeah, I'll go there and get myself on film. If it's not there, somebody may like me. If I can run good enough. If I can still run and catch and run routes and do it back to back to back in days and my body can recover from it, yeah, why not? I'd say why not.
And he's 31.
He's 31. He's not
that old.
He's like OBJ. They're about the same.
If you'd have asked me to guess his age, I would have said 34.
Would you have?
Yeah.
Well, him and OBJ came out the same year, didn't they?
Yeah,
or a year apart.
And they just
senior.
Something like that. But
Yeah.
why do they both seem so much older than they are?
Well, they've been playing a long time. If you think about it.
31's not that old for a receiver.
But, a lot of times, if you're coming out young, you're 20, 21, you got 10 years in.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
You know what I mean? As opposed to 23, 24.
Yeah.
And now I'm 34, with 10 years in.
Yeah, that's true.
So just those young guys.
And they've been good since they were young players, like rookies. So, you've just known about them for a long time.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. So Brian Thomas Jr., the wide receiver at LSU, gets picked at 23 after they trade down. They had a handful of guys they could have went with right there. A couple O-linemen were there. DBs were there. Clearly, they wanted Brian Thomas Jr., who can stretch the field. 17 touchdowns his last year at LSU. I got nothing against the pick. It's fine. I hope he can contribute. I hope he is that deep threat. I hope Trevor can hit him in stride and score a bunch of touchdowns. Be great. So that's a good pick. And I know trading back and getting your guy that says something, you got some picks for it. That's a really good pick. You get especially if he turns out to be a ball player. And by the way, the ones they passed up, there's no guarantee they're ball players. And think about it, out of the draft, how many really turn out to be, who you think they're going to be. Going, you know what I mean? And it's like this. Like, on paper, this great. But guess what? This doesn't mean anything. I mean, what else are you going to talk about? You got to talk about, potential and upside, and that's what it is. And look, you're talking about they did get faster. They got bigger. Hopefully they did get smarter like Ethan Waugh wanted, or they said that they were looking for. But you don't know. I tell you, the Zay Jones, I didn't watch him a lot. I saw him when they played BC, so he stood out in that regard. But he's a physical corner and got great feet. I saw those two describing him. I'm like, all right, I know why they liked him, right? Fits Ryan Nielsen's type of corner. And by the way, isn't it funny that every corner that's talked to Jags, what do they always say? We're talking man. But Ryan says we're not man. And it's funny, but it is funny. And look, cover 2 is kind of like man, especially when you press, especially for those corners. You got the guy for the most part, unless he goes all the way across the field, you might let him go. But you are man to man for a good bit.
Or if he's going deep
in that regard. What?
Or if he's going deep.
Yeah, you got to stick with him. Absolutely. I mean, you're gonna have the safety, hopefully.
Well, in cover 2, you should have safety help, right?
Yeah, cover
Until,
4 you
yards.
release. Cover 2 you may stick around a little bit longer, depending on how you're playing that.
You just got to jam really well in cover 2.
If you play press, you got to jam.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest issue with rookie wide receivers, trying to figure out that jam.
Getting off jam, yeah.
Because and Jay Smooth, people, look, not only was he great at running and catching, his getting off the line was legendary. So strong. So strong. But I think Jones, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens there. If he's our nickel, great. If he's our corner and Darby moves in, great. Whatever. Darby's going to play. He's not here just to, groom somebody. They brought him in to compete for a job and possibly be a starter. So I'm not, I'm not thinking he's giving it up right away. And then Tyson's got to improve too now. There's no Lock Tyson, Great video. Here come the videos.
It's a video season.
It's video season. Take pictures of me, please, while I run.
This is.
And look at this. Look at me. I'm in stride. Look at the muscle striations in my legs. Look how pretty I look.
This was about
so funny.
This was about the time a year that the Caleb Von Chase on beach video came out.
Oh gosh.
Do you remember that one?
The T-Rex. He looked like T-Rex going. I don't know what the heck he was doing.
The funniest part is the dude that's filming the video. He's doing this stuff with his hands. He's like, oh yeah, get off.
Yeah.
Just stuff like that.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. He again. He should have never. They should have never tried to make him play the position they tried to. They should have never drafted him if that's what they were going to make him play, because that's not what he did.
Taking him before Justin Jefferson is still probably the hardest thing to get over.
By the way, Dempsey made a great point about Brian Thomas. He's a 4th wide receiver taken. So was Justin Jefferson the year he came out. Now, that's high. Jefferson's one of the best, if not the best in the league.
And an LSU guy.
And an LSU guy. They're
So
fast.
you're saying he's Justin Jefferson, Tom.
Mark it down, baby. Mark it down.
Guaranteed.
Let it go viral. I'm saying it right now. Absolutely. Mason Smith. Look, look, I got to be honest. When they draft him, like the first thing I thought of, and it's not fair, but I thought of Walker Little. I'm like, here's another project, right? Got talent, no doubt, ton of talent. Coming off an injury, knee. Okay, we feel good about it. He got medically cleared, or they don't draft, or they feel like he's going to get, medically cleared. Their medical staff had to have passed him in order for them to even consider drafting him. So he probably did pass that, the physical side of it. Mason Smith, I'm talking about.
Well, and it's worth noting, just for clarity. I know we said it earlier in the show, but just for clarity for people listening, his injury was 2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah.
His injury was at the very beginning of the 2022 season.
Right.
When they played Florida State in New Orleans,
yep.
he made a sack, and he was celebrating, and he was stomping, and when he stomped, his knee turned.
That's right. I remember that.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, very similar to Walker. I mean, Walker was a great freshman.
Yep.
Great freshman year, and they got hurt. And then COVID. They're a little different. And that was my first reaction. Like, why project? Like, like Brenton Strange is a project still. Okay, whatever. I hope it works out. I hope the kid has a phenomenal career, phenomenal year, and really helps this offense grow and get production. But it's a project. Why when other teams, appears like, they get production and we're getting a project. Now, if the project works, it's a tremendous home run. There's no doubt about it.
Example, Trayvon Walker, when drafted, was a project. It seems like that project is now paying.
Fair enough. You're right. You're right about that.
But to your point, though, first of all, these projects are a gamble, and because there's just a lot more unknown than a dude that is going to be just ready to play right away, and you don't know what's going to happen with the team and then the regime and the coaching.
Yep.
There's just so many different factors. If you need to give that guy 2 to 3 years, and then also, it's just the production, man. If you haven't seen a lot of production, it's just don't be like. I understand how ceiling works and what you're projecting. I understand how all that works. But my whole thing is,
I just burped. I'm sorry about that. Excuse me. Pertone. Not as bad as that other way. But anyway,
my whole thing is, if you draft a guy where he left a little bit of production to be desired.
Okay.
We then can't turn around and be surprised when there's not production later on.
Yes. Agreed. Hey, how much juice you got in there? Or will it die? Will it die? I'm running out of juice on my
good.
personal.
You should be good for a little while.
If you could you do that for me? I'm running out of juice. I don't want to totally end it. Well, again, first year production, then the ACL, then coming back from the ACL. As a guy that had to recover from an ACL, you're a little off. Here, let me help you. There we go. Thanks, brother. Thank you. Just need a little juice. Sometimes it does take that year, right? So they're banking on him getting back to good fashion, not thinking about the knee, being injury-free, and getting back to being a disruptive force. He's big enough, athletic enough, built the way they want. Can he be? I see these comparisons to Chris Jones. I don't know. Why would you ever put that on a kid? Chris Jones is one of the best in the league. And just because they're like the same size doesn't mean... You know what I mean? Wouldn't it be great? Yeah, are you kidding me? If Mason Smith turned out to be a Chris Jones and played here for 15 years with a top defense, yes, huge home run.
Well, I think what happens is...
I don't think they're banking on that, for the record, but they are banking on the fact that he was a disruptive force his freshman year, and before the injury, he was somebody that would have been taken probably higher than where he is right now. He didn't have the best year last year, but I saw a few clips, and granted, highlights, but even in his highlights, he didn't feel like he was moving that great. You know what I mean? It felt a little clunky, if you will.
So I feel like this is what happens with those comps, because those comps happen all the time.
I know.
And I think in the defense of a lot of these draft guys, like the draft guru dudes, like the Todd McShays and the Daniel Jeremiahs of the world with those guys, because they're typically the ones that come up with these comps, Mel Kiper.
Yep.
What happens is they are creating a comp based on like the traits a guy has and his size and
Right.
his measurables and what this guy could potentially be if he pans out.
Right.
Because how boring of a draft show would it be
Right.
if instead he comps some third stringer for the Giants no one knows?
Well, I think the comp too though is also that who they're comparing to, this is what they look like maybe as a prospect. You know,
Right.
that's similar to the traits, like
Right.
the traits you're talking about. Maybe not where they are today in their NFL production, but where they were coming out of college.
And particularly once that guy gets drafted,
Yep.
and because once he's drafted and he's assigned to a team, there's a fan base that's looking for all the optimism possible on this guy.
Yep.
So when a Todd McShay or Daniel Jeremiah says, yeah, this guy in terms of measurables and traits is kind of like Chris Jones in terms of what
Right.
makes him really special.
Right.
Not saying he is
Chris Jones, right.
But as a fan of a team that's excited about
you're
your
like, Chris
pick,
Jones.
you'd be like, oh my God,
Oh,
we just got the next
yeah.
Chris Jones. So I think that's what happens
I
a lot.
saw a comp to Marcus Spears too, who was also from LSU. You know,
Yeah.
he was a good player too. We take that all day long. So let's hope it works out. Sometimes you got to take a risk. And look, if he couldn't move up and all those players were taken, that's when you sit there and go, what do you think about this Mason Smith kid? You know, and then they're on the board. I saw where one guy, was he from SI? He had him ranked 48th or something overall, and I think we took him 47th.
I don't know who it is, but I saw
Was
the
it
tweet you're
Daniel
talking about.
Griffiths? I want to give the right
Maybe,
credit.
yeah.
If it is you, Daniel,
But
good job. Anyways, so we'll see. You know, again, it is about upside, and if they hit it right, it's a big hit. That remains to be seen. I just felt like it's like a project, but again, projects work out. And if they work out great for you, that's fantastic. Jerry and Jones, I like what they say, good feet, challenges wide receivers with physicality. That's right up Ryan Nielsen's alley, I would think. So good pick there. Third rounder, guess who else was a third-round DB back in 1996? My man Aaron Beasley turned out to be a hell of a corner. So that'd be great for Jerry and Jones to turn out there. Javon Foster, big offensive tackle out of Missouri. All right, well, you know, I'm surprised they waited that long to address offensive tackle, but it is what it is. He's one of ours now. Fourth-round pick means what? You're playing. You're contributing. Maybe even as a swing, that's fine because that means you fill in when necessary, but you're going to be one of my top 5 or 6 offensive linemen that can get the job done for me. So hopefully he can do it.
Can I give you a quick hypothetical?
Yeah.
Just real quick. Let's say Javon Foster comes in. He's really productive. We really like what he's doing. He's playing. He's getting after it, okay? Nothing will change this offseason, I don't believe, but fast forward a year, could Walker Little be shown the door and now Javon Foster's my new swing?
If they don't redo Walker's deal before the season, because he's going into his last year, if there's no extension, I don't think he'll be back unless he has a tremendous year. Unless he just turns it on and turns out to finally reach his potential. You know, maybe. And I hope he does. I do. Be a great problem to have. But yeah. I'm not, I don't mean to cut you off. Here's the problem, though, when you said that. Like, when do they get after it to really know that this kid is ready until you get into the regular season or at least the preseason where the starters are playing? Because, look, you can have all this you want. You can have all the, but if you're not ready, you're not gonna be ready. I don't know. I think they got to implement. I think Doug even look. They only practice once a day. Okay, it's not like they're out there 2 days. Once a day, 15-minute thud. Just inside run where you're getting some physicality. We see these guys pop off. They know it's coming. We all know the deal. We're going full speed. It's only for this period. You got to get some physicality on this team because you got out physicaled all year long for the most part. So I want to, that's what I'm saying. Like last year, Devon Hamilton, what a great camp. What a great camp. What a great camp is all I heard about Devon Hamilton. And guess what? He wasn't great. Even before their injury, he wasn't great. He beat up on Luke Fortner. Great. So what? That doesn't mean anything, and they're never full speed. So I don't even know how to grade that. You don't know. You don't know till the real stuff happens. The real live stuff happens. Then you're going to find out. And it might take a little while to adapt. Can't judge right away. You know what I mean? You got to adapt. You got to take better angles. You got to figure out your technique a little bit more to deal with that speed because it's a lot faster than practice. So I hope they do get physical during their camp this year. I think they're going to need it. But Javon Foster, yeah, if he shows some stuff, yeah, you can see some movement there. You know, I'll tell you what. I mean, I still don't understand how our backups aren't better, even on the O-line. I still don't understand that. You have money. Do they not produce enough good offensive linemen in the or the college football for you to be a solid backup to? And what do I mean by solid? I mean Shatley is what I mean, right? If center goes down, guard goes down, we know Tyler Shatley can fill the void. He may not, wow you with anything, but he's tough, gritty, and he holds his own, and you can win with Tyler Shatley. That's what a backup is. We should have that across the board at every position. And you could do it. That doesn't mean they all are big money guys. They're not. Most of those guys are minimum salary guys. And every year it goes up based on how many years they play. I don't understand how we don't have better backups. Hopefully these guys at the very minimum are guys that we can count on when starters get hurt. Because you couldn't count on hardly anything last year when the starter went down. And that was maybe not across the board, but pretty much. All right, Jordan Jefferson, another DT out of LSU, big boy. He can play at the college level. It's funny with fans too. I know SEC is the best conference in the college football, but they're not the NFL. They're not. They got a lot of players that play in the NFL. They got a lot of players that don't play in the NFL, just like every other college football team. I think we get a little carried away. Wow, look what he did against Alabama. Well, great. So what? That doesn't mean every member of the offensive line that year was on a team or starting for an NFL team. There were a few, don't get me wrong, but look, I hope he comes in, and that's another guy. Where can he fit in? Right? If I'm Ledbetter, I'm looking over my shoulder. I got to produce, man. I know they just re-signed me, and I know I got to be in that 8 or 9. And now with the kickoff, you may want some defensive linemen out there that can shed blocks. I don't know. We're gonna have to look into that one a little bit further. DeAndre Prince, corner out of Ole Miss. I know nothing about this young man. Played in the SEC. I'm assuming he can jam. He can get up on the line of scrimmage, and he can run. I know they got bigger and faster, so that's good. As a 5th-round pick, he's got a chance. There's no doubt. Where do you play him? I don't know. But I know if I'm a backup on that roster right now, I'm making sure I have my game going. Even in the off-season workouts, they matter. They absolutely matter. Cam Little, kicker out of Arkansas. You better kick big. That's all I'm saying. You better kick big. We need a kicker. Kickers lately been kind of a mess on this organization.
It's been a bit of a carousel.
It has. I still don't understand the Matthew Wright. I get you want to kick, but I take the field goals over the kickoff. I have a better kickoff coverage team. And now that all changes anyway. So I don't know. I'd have taken 21 to 24. And what was he, 4 from 50? Something like that, 3 from 4? I'd have taken that. You?
Patterson was fine.
Patterson was fine, yeah. Goes up. He's in Detroit, right?
Yeah, he's back here now.
Yeah. Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Man, that kicker life, that's a tough life. That's who they should have a documentary on.
If
the
you
kickers
have
moving around.
But if you can establish yourself as the kicker in a certain spot, you got one of the best jobs in the world, dude.
Yeah.
In the world.
Yep.
If you are Justin Tucker, or like Jake Elliott in Philly, or like someone that has been there for forever, and you get to stay, because normally it's like that. Normally you're moving all over the place, and
even the best.
Yeah.
Even the best. Remember Robbie Gould left Chicago.
Yeah.
Why would you ever let him go? He was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But sometimes you got to. They get overpriced.
But if you're a kicker that's making $1 to $2 million a year, and you get to stay in one spot for 15 years, that's a great life, man.
Hell yeah. Training camps are easy.
Yeah, dude.
Bring your golf clubs.
You go in there and chill while everybody else is getting after it.
That's right. All right, and Miles Cole, the edge from Texas Tech, they say they would have drafted him a little higher, so let's see what he's got, some juice he's got. 7th round. Those are gravy picks. You hope they turn out, right? It's funny, Bill. I love this draft. I mean, you don't know half of them. You don't. You may say you do, but I highly doubt that you do. But listen, we wish all of them well, even the free agents that are signed. We wish Jarvis Landry well this weekend when he's trying out. That'll be great. Yes, Zay Jones has been released. 5th-year options picked up for Trev and ETN. You knew that was coming at least. And then we'll see about the long-term extension. I'm good either way. I would hold off, but I'm good either way. I hope he gets his money and he's happy and everybody's happy and he plays lights out. I do think his best football's ahead of him. I'm hopeful that bears to be true. Because without him at a high level, we can still compete, but we need Trev. We need Trev playing at a very, very high level. All right, that'll do it for us this time around. Catching up with Tommy Mack here on the 1010XL podcast platform. Wish you a great Suck It Up Tuesday. Yes, you got to get to work. It's just what we do on a Tuesday. Be back on Friday. Horse's Mouth on Thursday. Can't wait for that. Jaguars today and the podcast. Catching up with Tommy Mack on Friday. Until next time, stay safe out there, man, and be cool. And we'll see you right here on Catching Up with Tommy Mack. Peace.